Hello there. You're listening to Humans of Mitti Ke Rang, and today we are in conversation with Mr. Mayur Sontake. He is the founder of Nomad, a co-working and co-living space for digital nomads. He is also a remote work advocate. Tune in to know more about his work and his life as an entrepreneur.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
just a second. I'm good. I'm good. Just going live from my phone for the first time, so it's a little awkward.
No problem. So let's wait a few seconds for a few more people to join us and then we'll start.
Sure, sure. That sounds good. Till then, I'll try to clear the camera.
No problem. I think you're already pretty much clear.
Okay, cool.
I think let's just start. And as we go on, people will join us.
Yeah. That sounds good.
To introduce our guest for today, we have with us Mr. Mayur Sontake. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's Mayur Sontake.
Right. Mr. Mayur Sontake, and he is the founder of Nomad, and he's also a remote work advocate. So let's know more about him, his entrepreneurship journey, and his what we don't really know what a remote work advocate means. So let's just talk more about that.
Yeah, sure.
The question, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the questions are there right in front of me. So.
So what do you mean by you say you're a digital nomad? So what do you mean by a digital nomad?
So a digital nomad is someone who has a remote job or who does freelancing. The person is location independent, so he uses that time and flexibility to travel around. So digital nomad is just someone who uses the remote work flexibility to explore the world.
Right. So you are an entrepreneur now, and did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, when I look back, I've been, starting things, failing at it since 2005, 2006. So in 2005, we started a t-shirt printing venture. It failed because we had no idea about how to scale it up. Then in 2008, we started e-learning platform. It was too early because the internet was really pathetic at that time and e-learning didn't work in India. So my current ventures, Remote Explorers and Nomad, they were a part of, or they were a result of my digital nomad journey. So I started working remotely in 2014, built and managed various teams, traveled around Southeast Asia, and then I realized that India has a great potential to be a digital nomad hub, to bring in more remote workers to the country, but it's not happening. So I started Remote Explorers back in 2016-17 to run retreats for digital nomads who wanted to come to India, but not sure about safety issues or internet or general, culture shock. Then I also advised some other co-working spaces, co-living spaces. I advised Goa government on making the state popular for digital nomads. And then I realized that, Goa is such a great place. I want to be here. I want to base myself here. So why don't I start something? So that's how Nomad was born.
Right. So what is Nomad exactly, and what do you all do?
Yeah, sure. So Nomad is a co-working co-living place. it's something really unique. So, what I mean by co-working, co-living places, um, people come here, live here, they spend time with each other, they work on their own projects at our co-working space. The space that you see behind me is our co-working space. Um, they kind of, it's a community, right? People spend time together, and that's what sets it apart. So the benefits that I see is you don't feel lonely if you're living on your own and traveling. It gets lonely. So this provides the community to people. Then if you also meet people doing different things from different parts of the world, and that kind of gives you a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. You become wiser at the end. So this place is all about connections.
Lovely. And I see you've decorated the place really beautifully too.
Yeah, that's my wife who made it. Perhaps she would be on the call. Yeah.
It's lovely.
I can show you around. So this is the space. Alex is working here. Yeah. We have tried to, we call it Nomad Gaon because we want to give it this back to basics feel to it. Because it's in the middle of a village, a beautiful village, and we want to stick to those that ethos or that vibe.
Right, and I'm sure such a beautiful decor does encourage people to work in a better mood.
I think so. I mean, people come here for a month and they end up staying 3 months. So there has to be something to it, right? And they feel productive. They want to work more. They want to get things done.
Right. So, why do you think it's so important that people have a decent place to work even when they're traveling? Whereas travels are usually associated with vacations, but why do you think it's so important?
Yeah, so when I think about it, the remote work culture is growing, right? I mean, it was growing, and then coronavirus just gave it a big push. So my thought is you don't have to base yourself in metro cities or big cities, travel to work for 2 hours and 2 hours back home to really, go ahead in your career. You can stay in a village, you can be wherever you want to be and still advance in your career. I've been living in villages for past 5-6 years. I was in Dharamshala. We built a space there. I managed a space there. Then I ended up building one here. When I think about workspace, it's about the comfort that you get. So, a lot of places, they offer internet, but then there is no comfortable, seating or arrangement to spend 8 hours a day working there.
Right.
First is comfort. Second is connectivity. Of course, the internet has to be good. And third is connections, right? So it's 3 C's, the people around. So when I think about work, you need to feel productive. You need to feel like, okay, I really want to get something done. And that's why you need to have good place with these 3 C's.
Right, absolutely. So, listening to your story, I'm assuming that you have traveled a lot and you've traveled several different places with different cultures. And so to share with us some of your memorable travel experiences.
Yeah, so, if my wife is online, I would say meeting her was the most memorable thing happened during my travels. Yeah. There were lots of experiences back here. When I was living in Thailand, I challenged myself, took this 4-day bike trip across northern Thailand. Saw a very different Thailand from what we normally see in terms of, tourism or focus on tourists. Lived with locals, when I was in Indonesia, I went off the beaten track and went to Java, which is not very touristy, which is more local. Explored the local culture. Some of the locals became my so good friends that they invited me to their houses for parties where I was the only foreigner or I was the only outsider. So it's all nice. I tried to learn languages. When I was in Malaysia and my, I met with an accident and my leg broke. One lady in the airport, she helped me board my flight without, any expectations. So I think, my experiences, memorable experiences are more about people than about my travel.
Lovely. And so right now that you have Nomad Gao, what would be your opinion on the co-living and co-working spaces in these places that you visited? What would be your opinion on that?
See, co-working spaces or co-working, co-living places is the next wave, right? When we talk about tourism, with so many remote workers coming in now, or so many people going to work from home, hopefully, they need space where they can connect with other people. They cannot be at home all the time. There is loneliness, and then there is this missing social factor involved. So co-working spaces, co-living spaces basically offer that human connection to your remote work experience, right? And that's what we have been doing. So I think that's the need of the hour.
Right. So you share with us something that you have learned throughout your entrepreneurship journey. As everybody knows, it's not easy to start something of your own. And I'm sure you must have learned a few lessons. So if you could share that with us.
All right. So first thing about entrepreneurship that I have learned is, because I have seen the failures and I have seen something working out now, be persistent. Don't give up. When I started my early ventures, we were young and didn't have the patience to wait for something, and so we kind of lost the battle to ourselves, right? Because we were the first movers and we still could not make it happen. So I think first would be about being persistent. Second would be about it doesn't have to be fancy. If you want to do something, just execute. Try to bootstrap. Try to keep your expectations low. Try to do a lot of things by yourself first before relying on others or before hiring people. That will give you a lot of insights into your own business. So while building Nomad Gao, me and my wife, we did everything ourselves, including the decoration and giving it the look and feel of it. And now that we are in our journey, like it's been 8-9 months, we see that okay, whatever we did is great, because now the coronavirus is affecting the entire travel industry, and I think we'll survive through it because we kept our costs low. We did everything by ourselves. If we would have thought, okay, we have the budget, so why not spend a lot on making the best of everything? Perhaps this would be another failure.
Right. So we have a couple questions from the audience, and we are accepting questions from the audience now. So if anybody has any questions, please go ahead. Ecstatic with Joy asks, post-COVID-19, what are your plans for Nomad Gao? Because the way of working is definitely going to change a lot.
Yeah, so post-COVID-19, I see that we need to let's say, space out the workspace so that there is social distancing involved. In terms of the future, I see that, what we are doing is something that is going to be a norm in the future, right? People would need to get out of their houses. So I feel I don't have any plans. I'm just taking it by the day, because it's the time when instead of planning for the future, you need to just keep on surviving. But hopefully we'll have a bigger space and a lot more activity happening in Nomad post-COVID.
And what's the situation like currently during the lockdown?
We have a couple of people here who are, who were here when lockdown started. So Alex is one. They ended up being here. And apart from that, we don't have any social events that we used to run. We do some webinars once in a while to kind of connect our community with outsiders, to share knowledge. And so right now, if you ask me, we are just focusing on making sure that all those who lived here, who made connections here, are safe and secure. We keep in touch with them. We talk to them. We make sure that they're okay. Not that we can do a lot about it, but at least, when people are stuck in their houses, it's nice to hear from somebody, right? So that's what we are doing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We have another question from Romi. She asks, can we call this field of digital nomad communities similar to the field of hospitality now? Because like you mentioned, focus is also given to the beautiful environment and comfort you're providing.
Yeah. So, when I talk about digital nomadism, it's a mix of tourism and hospitality, tourism and technology, or entrepreneurship, right? Or gig economy for that matter. So when you talk about just the tourist economy or tourist sector, the focus is not a lot on, connections. It's about providing services, the basic services. You don't talk to the person living in the next room or you. The communication is very much centered around transactions.
Right.
Here we focus on, so we provide all those services, plus we provide community.
Right. So, as you also said that digital nomad and Nomad Gao is all about creating communities. So,
yeah.
Assuming that this lockdown didn't exist, and how would you keep your communities active? What would you do to get interaction, bring out interaction between people, or connect them with each other?
Yeah. So we, before the lockdown, we used to have a lot of events. So, during the week, we used to have some Skillshare, some parties, some movie nights, karaoke nights, then some gardening sessions, because we have garden in the backyard. So all the community members used to gather and, help us in gardening. So it's more like, people have 24 hours a day. They work for 8 hours. They spend maybe 4 hours to themselves. So we try to, take 1 or 2 hours of their day into building this family feel around it. And I think, when the lockdown is over, we'll get back to that.
Amazing. Moving on to, as you said, you are also a remote work advocate. You've already told us a little bit about it, but if you could tell us more in detail, please.
Yeah. So, what do I mean by remote work advocate? This is something I started doing much before the coronavirus lockdowns. I used to help, or I help companies on going remote because there are a lot of challenges. There are challenges related to technology, related to communication. A lot of managers don't know how to manage their teams while being away. A lot of employees don't know, or a lot of contributors don't know how to stay productive, how to manage their routine, or how to stay away from distractions while working remotely. So this is something I do. I help companies on setting up policies, processes to work remotely, productively. And on the other side, I help people on being productive while working. And then I'm also working on a couple of other projects. One project is Program Panchayat, where we are trying to kind of use remote work or the power of remote work to connect urban with rural, to sort of make remote work a equalizer.
Right. Please tell us more about. Have you worked more on this, or is this just an idea, the panchayat idea?
It's in so it's in conceptualization phase. We just want to make sure that. So I'll just give you a brief of the idea. So we'll be, there are people with remote jobs. They want to make a social impact. They want to do something great. They want to contribute towards a greater cause. So we are trying to connect remote workers with gram panchayats, so that these people can volunteer for 3 months, 6 months, stay in villages. The panchayat people will take care of their stay, food, and these guys will spend a couple of hours a day educating villagers on technology, or on simple things like how to use UPI, or how to use social media, for social media effectively, for that matter. So that's the whole idea.
Wow, it's really, really interesting, and we hope to hear more about it once you all put it into action. My next question for you is, would you ever think about expanding Nomad Gav, or are you looking forward to maybe some other different projects?
So Nomad Gav, it's in its infancy, so it will surely grow. I've not set a timeline for it because I feel right now is not the time to set timelines, because it's not in our hands. And second thing is, Nomad Gav is I don't consider it business. I consider it a passion project. So the moment I feel okay, now is the time to grow, I'll think about it and decide on that. There are other projects that I'm working on at different stages of development. So we want to run a conference around remote work. So I'm working with a couple of my friends on scoping it out. And then I'm also, so back in 2018, I advised Goa government on bringing more digital nomads to Goa. So I'm getting back in touch with them to make it happen, to have some policy level push to making the state popular among digital nomads. And then the plan is to expand that initiative to other states.
Right. Lovely. That's amazing. Before I move on to the last couple of questions, this question is more about, again, your experiences. What would you like to give if you had to give some words of advice to fellow entrepreneurs or people aspiring to be entrepreneurs? What would they be?
I think I kind of touched upon this topic before, but I would still like to add a couple of other pointers. never start something with a exit in mind, right? So I see a lot of people now thinking about the funding and then building something, selling it off in 3 to 5 years. I think because somebody who's building something similar with passion will always build something better. So always think about building a product first and then think about being rich. Don't start something with an aim to be rich. You'll be rich somehow in the end if you build something great. You'll be rich by experience, or you'll be rich by connections. It doesn't have to be the millions and billions account, right?
Right. I am hoping everybody took down these points because they're very, very useful. And I would just like to end with one question that I'm curious about, and I'm sure some of our viewers are too. You said the most memorable adventure for you was meeting your wife while traveling. And if you don't mind, would you share that story with us?
Yeah, sure. So I was in Vietnam. I was about to leave Vietnam in like 10 days, and there was an Indian guy who's cycling around the world. So he invited me for dinner at the place where he was hosted. It was 8 March, International Women's Day. I clearly remember. I went there, and then, Joy, my wife, walked in after a while. And we got talking. And I said, okay, this girl looks interesting. So I asked for the number. She gave me number, and then we met, we connected. And then I came back to India. After 2 months, I said, okay, I want to go back to Vietnam, spend time with her. I went back to Vietnam, decided to get married, and here we are. Yeah, it's an interesting story, but she always complains that I never proposed her in the right way. So I think we'll get married again to each other.
That's sweet. So it must have been a very interesting journey for you by meeting her during one of your travel adventures to now where you all are owners of a lovely, you all are on your entrepreneurship journey together. So it must have been very interesting and memorable.
Yeah. There is never a dull day. In fact, we have 4 babies, including Nomad Gao. So we have twin boys and a daughter who is about to turn 2. So I don't remember a day where I felt like, okay, what to do? Because there is always something happening. And Joy, she's building her own e-commerce business. She's very passionate about handicrafts or making soft toys, crocheting and stuff. So she's spending time with that after designing Nomad Gao. So it's always a lot of learning every day for both of us. I learn something from her, she learns something from me, hopefully.
Wow. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story with us. We wish you all the best for Nomad Gao, and we wish Miss Joy also all the very best with her entrepreneurship journey. And we hope to hear from you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me this chance to share my story. You guys are doing amazing stuff, and I'm sure we'll connect about that, especially with, my path is crossing with Mitti Ke Rang, with Program Panchayat and all. So looking forward.
We are looking forward too. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see all our viewers tomorrow again at 7:30. Bye-bye.
Bye.